What is going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good day, or whatever time it is. I hope it is great for you. So if you aren't new to my channel, you'll know that I've been putting out a lot of DJI Air 3 content, and one of the videos I put out was what the exact differences between the RC and the RC2 are. Now, I have made a follow-up to that video also, but one of the questions a few people asked in the comments, and by a few people I mean like 3, which was apparently enough for me, is how to transfer files from both the RC and the RC2 to some other kind of medium. Today, that is exactly what I'm going to be going over. Now, before we do start, I do want to get some stuff out of the way. What I'm going to be showing you in this video is how to manage the files on both controllers, what ways file transfer is similar and different between both controllers, and finally how to transfer files without using a device like an Android or iOS device or Windows device. Well, I guess that kind of brings me to the last thing I want to mention before I do get started, which is if you do have an iOS device, then most of the ways in this video will most likely not work for you due to the fact that Apple limits iOS, but the last one will indeed work for you if you choose to go that route. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to talk about is how to get to the file managers on both of these devices, and it's slightly different, or rather, you have one more way to get to it, or at least a different version of it on the RC2. So, of course, normally you'd be able to go into the album section of the controller here, and I just want to show the difference between this. You can go here while the aircraft is not connected, like it isn't right now, where it says saved, and normally you can just go ahead and view all of the files you have on your controller. That's the standard way, right? However, since these controllers are built on Android, you do have the Android file manager. Apparently DJI didn't lock that down as much as they could have. The way to access this is basically to swipe down again, make sure that notification bar comes down, go to the settings icon, which I think that's like a hexagon or something like that on both. Then what you're going to do is go into storage here, this little purple icon on either or. Then you're going to go to internal shared storage. And what's going to happen here is the information will be displayed differently on both of these controllers. On the RC here, you can see that photos and videos are 0.00 gigabytes. And on here, it does show you have some storage, but access is kind of the same. If you tap on photos and videos here on both, you'll get to this screen here, and then you'll see images, this little title right here. Tap on that, and here you have it. This is exactly how you get into a portion of the file manager. I'll say a portion of it. So the reason these look different is because this is running on an older version of Android. I forget, maybe it's like 10 or 9 or something like that, while this is running on 11. I believe, and I can't say for sure, these are the stock versions of the file managers on both Android variants, but essentially they kind of work out the same. If you get into here, there's a limited amount of things you can do, but there are some things that make it better to view your content. So like, for instance, if you wanted to press and hold any one of these pieces of content, and I think, yeah, so if you press and hold more than one, you'll notice that there's an option that goes away. So let's deselect that. And what you can do from here is a few things. I believe you should be able to see the details of files. Yep, see? So here you can see much more information. You can see like the width and the height of the resolution and all that. You can see the name, you can see the time, you can see the path. Similar on the regular RC here. The only difference is that the RC for some reason doesn't show the actual resolution or anything like that, but you get the gist. It gives you more details, right? Another thing you can do from here is you can actually share that content via Bluetooth. And I'll get to the Bluetooth portion of this video a little bit later, but one advantage you can see here with the RC2 is that you do have the ability to edit and crop, which is kind of the same thing, I guess. You can crop within the editor. So you can do some edits or small edits on the controller itself here. You can even choose like your exposure, your contrast, all that stuff. So there's a little mini editor hiding inside the RC2. This is something you cannot do on the regular RC. And I'm pretty sure that has to do with the Android version here. So that is kind of the basic stock Android sort of file browser or gallery app maybe. I don't know, I don't use stock Android, but there is another version of the file manager on both of these controllers that I personally like to use. It's easier to move and manipulate files. The way you get to that is if you hit music and audio, and I know that sounds weird, you'll see here that it says audio files 0 bytes here. And if you tap on that title, you'll notice now that it will bring you into the file manager for Android or stock Android or whatever. So from here, you can do a few different things. And the reason I like to do this is because it aggregates content a little bit better. If you see on the top left here, you have that menu button. And if you press it on both, what you can do here is if you press any one of these titles, whether it be images, videos, audio, documents, downloads, or anything like that, it will show you the folders that have that kind of specific content in it. And the reason this looks a little bit different on my RC than it does on the RC2 is because I just changed the view, which you can do by tapping on that button there. But essentially what you're seeing here is the folders that contain .mp4 files, because I think those are the only files that are generated on both of these controllers. So if we were to go to movies, you'll see here all of my screen recordings here for the RC2 are here, and the ones I have on my RC are here pretty much. Now, the reason I like to use this a little bit more is because you get a teeny bit more flexibility. So if I was to go ahead and, let's say for instance, press and hold to select a file, from here, I can actually select multiple files, doesn't matter how many. Then if I tap the share button, you'll see that it asks me to turn on Bluetooth. And like I said, I'm gonna get to that in a later part of the video, how to transfer files via Bluetooth on both controllers. But that's just an example. Another thing you can do is tap on the menu button. But on the RC, you do have one other option to get info. And this also will show you what it didn't show you before, like the dimensions of the file, and I guess all of the other similar information I showed you before when we were going into the gallery apps. Essentially what I'm getting at here is you do have a few different options on here. You can read these and kind of experiment and play along. The only thing I really do in here mostly is, select files to be copied onto another device, or sort of to manipulate them a lot easier. I'm used to the Android file manager. And this is really all I have to say about file management. Like I said, it differs slightly between the controllers because for some reason on the RC2, the version of Android that they have heavily manipulated doesn't even have, see where it says DJI RC down here, and RC shows me the RC's memory, the actual memory inside here, and then the micro SD card here. Whereas on the RC2, it doesn't really show you as much. Like it'll show you the disk, which I think these are, should be, yep, these are the files on the actual RC itself. So from here, for some reason, it will not show me my micro SD card. But yeah, essentially what I'm getting at here, like I said, is just this is how another way you can go about file management. So now let's go ahead and talk about how to transfer files via Bluetooth. And both of the ways you do this are, I'd say they're mostly similar, or they're probably completely similar. Now, I do have to state that I do not know if this will work on an iOS device. I don't use Apple devices in my daily life. I personally prefer Android, always have, always will not be changing that anytime soon. So if you do have an iPhone or an Apple device, you'll have to try this. If it does not work, that is on Apple. I can't change that. So basically what you want to do is, I'm going to tell you, I mean, you can technically do this the other way I showed you by going into those gallery apps, but I prefer to be in the file manager here. So what you're going to do first, if you're using Android, of course, you're going to go into the Bluetooth settings, and you can probably do this on stock Android too. I know you can on Samsung devices. So if you tap and hold on the Bluetooth icon here, you'll notice that this takes you directly into the Bluetooth menu. And the reason you want to do this is because your device may not be seen by the controllers if you don't. So right now, Bluetooth is discoverable. Bluetooth transfer is pretty simple. All you really have to do is go into the folder you want to go into with all your content. And let's say, for instance, if I wanted to just transfer these three here, if I press and hold, and let's say, for instance, if I just wanted to go ahead and transfer these three screen recordings from the RC to the tablet, all I would do is press and hold one, tap the other ones, go to share, have it turn on Bluetooth if it's not already on. And then what'll happen is you'll see my tablet is here, and you can do this with a phone. Doesn't matter which Android device you're doing this with. Like I said, I don't have an iPhone, so you'd have to figure this out. You can go here, tap on the name. Then what'll happen is you will get a really, really loud sound that scares the crap out of you. And you'll also get a prompt on your device, like you can see here. All you do is accept, and then you let the transfer happen. And give this a few seconds. Actually, you know what? We're not going to wait on that, because it's actually going to do these one by one. So as you can see here, I got that one file, and in my notification bar here, I can go view that file if I want to. And voila, there we have it. This is a screen recording I did of the main screen. Nothing really interesting. So that's how you do that from the RC. Now, doing it from the RC2, exactly the same way. You go directly into the folder with all of the files you want. Now, like I said before, if you hit the menu button and then hit one of these titles here, that is going to show you which folders have those kinds of content. So movies, and then if we try the same thing here, you can also do that too. Like if you press and hold one and then slide over, it will select the others, and you can do that up and down. So if we go to share, turn on Bluetooth again for the RC2, and give it a few seconds to show my tablet. And then there we go. So now it's transferring Bluetooth over to the tablet here. Now, one thing I want to say about this, Bluetooth is the option you're going to want to use last, because for one, it's pretty unstable. As you can see here, Bluetooth share file, MP4 not sent, probably because I'm still transferring stuff from here, but it canceled that out. The other reason you only want to use this as a last resort is because of the fact that it's extremely, extremely slow. Like slower than doing it by a cable, actually. So this would be like if you're somewhere on a trail or something like that, and you know you're lost and you just really need to transfer some files and you don't care about the fact that you're lost. and you don't have a type C to C cable or anything, and you don't have any other way to transfer the files or anything like that, like this is the only reason you'd want to use Bluetooth. But yes, that is essentially how you transfer files via Bluetooth from both controllers to at least an Android device. You can also do this with Windows and I'm pretty sure Mac OS. However, I'm just going to show you the Android version. The Windows way it's kind of similar, but I hate using Bluetooth on Windows. But yeah, it's the easiest way. Let's get into specific ways to transfer files from the RC to other devices. Alternative ways. Of course, I showed you Bluetooth before. So method number one for transferring files from the RC to another device is going to be if you were to take a flash drive, and this is a Type C flash drive. Type C, you can tell by the connector itself. If you were to insert this into this port under here, the one with the lid cover here that says host and micro SD card, what will happen is once it is inserted and you swipe your notification bar down, you'll notice here that it has read the flash drive, and let me get that notification out of the way. From here, what you can do, you can either tap the name of the USB drive if it shows up there, or Explore. Let's go ahead and tap Explore. And you can see here, it basically brings you back to the file manager I was showing you before. Now, this is the name of my flash drive. These are all the files I have on it. I have a ton of screen recordings, but basically what I'm trying to show you here is that it does read the flash drive and it does show you everything on it, or mostly anything it can read. So what you want to do here is you want to hit the menu button in the top left corner here. Then you're going to do the same thing I've been telling you about over and over again. You're going to tap videos, movies, or even, you know what, let's do this. Let's tap DJI album, because these are things that I've saved to the controller via the memory card that's inserted in here. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and transfer any one of these things, again, you press and hold the file, select multiple if you want, press and hold, slide your finger, do whatever way works for you. See, these are being selected. And then from here, what you're going to do is hit the menu button here in the top right. Then you can select to copy to or move to. If you select move to, what's going to happen is it will remove the files from the controller and store them on the device you have connected, which in this case, I keep saying device. The only thing you can connect here is either a flash drive or maybe a portable SSD that doesn't draw too much power. But yeah, if you move to, remember, it's taking all of those files off of the controller and putting them onto there. And that may seem self-explanatory, but the reason I'm saying this is because, let's say, for instance, if something happens to the device you put them on, you no longer have a copy of them. So what I like to do is do copy to, and this time instead, when you get to this menu, you're going to choose what medium you want to put this on. So you can put this on the memory card. You can basically keep it on the internal storage if you want, whatever have you. I'm going to try it on the flash drive, or rather put it on the flash drive. Now from here, I'm also going to make a new folder because I'm going to delete this. And let's say test folder, right? So there's my test folder. And then I just select copy to. I could have just copied them directly onto the root of my flash drive, but I already am disorganized with a lot of my stuff anyway, so I didn't want to do that. But what will happen is, once that is done, which it's not, and you can check the progress right here up in the notification bar. This time is going to fluctuate, by the way, because it does depend on how big those files are, and the storage, the memory that they use in the RC seems to be very slow. That's probably like, that's not even UFS storage. I'm pretty sure it's like eMCC memory or something. You can go here though, go back to the flash drive, and then see here's my test folder, and here's the files it has copied already. Beautiful thing about this is if you pull down, you can also refresh and see there's another file that did copy here. So that's basically how to transfer to a flash drive. Now the next way to go about this is to use a Type-C to Type-C cable. And as far as I know, because I believe I've tried it a couple of times, you can't transfer via cable to a Windows device, maybe not even a Mac OS device, most likely definitely not an iPad, or maybe you can. Maybe this way will work with iPads. I don't know. Like I said, you'll have to try it. But what you're gonna do is insert both ends into the devices. So for my Android tablet here, so like put that in there. So then what you're gonna do is, and I'm gonna show you this even though this is not what you're supposed to do, you do not connect this part of your cable into the host port here, because it won't really do anything. Like it'll start charging this device, you can allow, but you'll notice that the gallery app keeps stopping, which I think if it didn't stop, then you'd be able to view the contents of the tablet, but we're not trying to do that. What you are going to do is you're going to take the other end of your cable, put it into the charging port here. We'll call that the charging port. And what's going to happen is on your Android device, you can see here, in my case, I'm using Samsung, and I have to have this situated in a specific way because my serial number for the controller is going to show, which I don't want to take the time to block out. What will happen is you'll get into the file manager for Android on your device. And from here, basically the concept is kind of the same. The only difference is now you're able to actually traverse the files using the device versus doing it from the RC itself. So if I wanted to go here, if you go to internal shared storage, this will show you some of your flight records here. And if you want to transfer those, from the RC onto your device, you can definitely do that. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to do RC, because that's the controller that has all of our content in it. And then you'll see here you have the same kind of folders that I've been showing you. You can change the view on your Android device if that's what you're using, of course. Well, you are most likely using an Android device. Go to movies, and then see I can view the files here. And you can see here now I can view this screen recording of, I'm actually putting together a tutorial on how to do long exposure photography using your drone. And this is a video, like an 18-minute video, or minute and 36. I did do a longer one. But yeah, I can view that content if I want to. And if I also wanted to, I can copy it the same exact way I did on here. The interface is basically virtually the same. See, if I press the menu button over here, move to, and you can just move that to wherever you want. This concept will be the same exact on a phone. The only reason I'm doing this on a tablet is because it is much bigger, so you can see things easier. But really, the concept is going to be the same. And to navigate around this whole thing, if you want to get out of the folder, the easiest way to do it is just to press the title here. If you're on a phone, you'll have a menu button situated in the top left corner that will drag this hamburger menu out, this menu out here, and then you can go from there and select your controller. And this is the root of the controller. This is what's going to show you like all your folders and things of that sort. But yes, that is essentially how you transfer, or two ways to transfer from the RC. Now, there is one more way that I'll go over, and this is going to be the same for the RC2 that I'm about to get into at the end. So stick around for that, because there's another device you can use to transfer off of both. But anyway, let's move on to how you can specifically do this with the RC. So doing this with the RC2 is similar but a little bit different, because for some reason there are these nuances. With the RC2, You can't connect it to a Android device, which is why I've switched over here to my Surface Pro 8, or I call it my Surface Blow 8, because I like literally hate this thing with a passion. Or maybe it's Windows 11 I hate. Wind blows 11. I hate Windows 11. Windows 10 is best. Windows 7 probably. Anyway, from here, it's going to be the same concept as what I was doing with the Android tablet. But like I said, I've only found this to work with the Windows operating system. It'll probably work with the Mac if you have the Android file transfer extension, but I can't confirm or deny. I don't have one of those. So concept, like I said, same here. What you do is you insert one end of the Type-C cable into your controller, then the other end into your computer. Now, I guess I should point this out, but if your computer or what you're using does have a Type A port on it, then you'd stick that end into the computer. Then the Type-C is always going to go into the RC, whether it be RC1 or RC2, because those only have Type-C ports, but just wanted to mention that. So what's going to happen here is you have to go into the File Explorer, and then you should see the DJI RC2 icon right here. If you double click that, it'll show you both your micro SD card, which I have here, I have a 256 installed, and then the internal shared storage. And like I said, from here, the concept is exactly the same as it was with the Android device. You know, you can traverse the folders, you can select everything from here. But anyway, concept is going to be the exact same as what I'm getting at. You can select everything here. You can copy it or move it into whatever folder you have. If you have a flash drive in your PC, then I'm assuming everybody knows how to copy stuff to a flash drive or anything like that. Assuming. Yes, just to reiterate, again, this is the only way I've found to transfer files from the RC2 to another device. For some odd reason, and I will show you this right now, the flash drive method does not work if you plug it directly into the RC2. That is something that DJI could update. Maybe they couldn't, maybe they'll just leave it the way that it is, because really and truly, DJI does not want you getting access to other areas of the Android system on either the RC or the RC2, because then that would essentially make it a much cheaper Pro controller. In order to get that full access, you're going to have to get a Pro controller, which eventually I will when I find one for like less than $700 or so. Not paying 4 digits for that, even though it probably is worth it. Anyway, rambling. Last method for getting files from either one of these controllers to another external device, whether it be a flash drive, memory card, or whatever ones I just showed you, this actually undercuts or sort of skips over having to use another device like an Android device or a Windows device. And what I am referring to here is using a USB Type-C hub. Now, not all of them work, at least I don't think they do, and you'll definitely need one with at least a micro SD card reader. This one has a micro SD card reader as well as a standard SD card reader and HDMI, which, by the way, I mentioned this in another video, but I'll say this random point. Of course, it's probably unfair to ask people to invest in a hub. I mean, I'm not asking you to do anything, I'm just showing you stuff. But one reason you may want to do that, at least with the RC2, is because if you do have a hub with HDMI on it, there is a good chance that it will actually allow you to do video out. And I covered this in another video, which I'll post the link up in the right here, right corner. But that will be a reason to invest in something like this. Not every hub works, because there is this hub I have here with HDMI on it, and for some reason it does not work with this. I'm pretty sure it has to do with protocol, but USB Type-C is the most confusing specification ever. Anyway, for file transfer, let's start with the RC. And what you're going to do is you're going to look for the USB-C ports on your hub. In this case, this one does have a dedicated data port and a power delivery USB Type-C port, which doesn't work if I put this in here. For the RC, you're going to have to open that protective lid down here again, and you're going to put the other end of your USB Type-C hub into the Type-C port, the host Type-C port. What's going to happen here is it's going to take a while to come up because for some reason it's a little bit slower with the RC, but you can see here now, Samsung USB drive, it says it before, and it looks exactly the same way as when I did connect the flash drive directly to the host port. But this is just kind of another way to do it. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, well, you just showed us that, you know, with connecting the flash drive directly. However, let me show you something else and the reason why I'm even going through this. If you had a micro SD card and you wanted to do the same thing you did with a flash drive, instead of taking the micro SD card out of your RC, you could alternatively put that micro SD card here, and now you can do the same thing I showed you with a flash drive. And you'll see here, it shows me at least, the amount of storage I have on that SD card I just inserted here. Shows me the SD card I have inside of my RC, and then it shows me the internal storage. So this is, like I said, an alternative way to do this with the RC. Now remember before when I said you cannot put a flash drive directly into the RC2 and have it work? As you can see here, I'll show you again, it doesn't work, right? For some reason, like I said, DJI is locking the standard features of Android down in a very weird way, very roundabout way, but it's a beautiful thing about technology, you know, you find something else that works. So what does work is plugging this flash drive directly into this hub here and plugging that into the only Type-C port you have on the RC2, and give this a few seconds. Actually, it's right there. So see, this is a way to use a flash drive with the RC2. And like I said, this is really, really weird. If you happen to see my two videos I did on the comparison between both the RC and RC2, I did mention that you couldn't use a flash drive directly into the RC2. This is a way to do that. And concept is the exact same here. Once you tap on the name of the flash drive, you can go in, it'll show you the contents of the flash drive. Then you get to copying everything from here. And if I wanted to do a micro SD card, I am not sure if that works, but I don't see why it wouldn't. If I insert that in here and let's see what happens. Yep, it does work. So see, I can see the contents of my micro SD card here and this, but the delineation between both of these, the difference between both of these rather, is going to be the fact that you have a USB icon and then you have a micro SD card icon right here. That's kind of misleading because that's actually the storage on the device itself, but just wanted to point that difference out. All right, so that is all I have to teach you. And yeah, essentially this video was kind of roundabout in a certain way because DJI made this all roundabout. But really what we are getting at here is, of course, being able to transfer the files from either one of these controllers, not having to go through DJI's way, which I totally hate. The reason I totally hate that way is because for some reason they've made it different on both of these controllers. I haven't tried it here, but the reason I have an issue with doing it here is because, at least on the Android side of things, when you go into the DJI Fly app on Android, let me show you this here. When you go into the DJI Fly app on Android, if you don't have the correct amount of lighting, what I find happens is it will not allow you to connect to the controller. So like see here, if I go quick transfer mode, now you'll see here, it takes a really long time to scan. Sometimes it does not do it, but in this case, I have my studio lights on here. So now it allows me to do the same thing I said it wouldn't allow me to do. Like I said, I haven't tried it on the RC2, but I hate going this way. I'd rather do it the ways that I showed you before anyway. I'd just rather do it the ways that I was showing you throughout this whole video. Anyway, I do hope that you have learned something here. Like I said, there are a lot of nuances, and just to state it again, the only ways that may not work for Apple devices is if you're using, you know, either the Type-C to Type-C cable to that device, or, you know, like the, well, that's the only way, because if you were using a flash drive, I think you can put flash drives into Apple devices. Anyway, comment below if you have any questions. I will try to elaborate as much as I can. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do any more videos if they do post any updates on the RC2 until I can get my DJI Air 3, or until I can get a DJI Air 3 again. Life has struck me, and basically, unfortunately, I have to give up my Air 3. I have to send it back to where I bought it from, because I thought it was in the budget at the time, and it appears that, you know, life was just like, you don't need that Air 3, send that back. So I have to be an adult. But anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you. And like I said, any questions or comments or anything like that, please go ahead and post those below. And yeah, wherever you are in the world, have a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, or a great night. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. And as always, if you would like to support me, please consider doing all of the things a normal YouTuber would ask you to do, i.e. subscribe, like, share the video. I do have donation links in the description, as well as affiliate links for the Air 3, and I'll probably put them up for the DJI RC too if I can find them. Anyway, just all that stuff. I usually like to save that stuff for the end. I don't want to put that at the beginning of the video and bombard people with that. But anyway, yeah, I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.